He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick done on third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He does a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that?
Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown to the zone. Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other.
It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
For the end zone battle. Coleman. Touchdown.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Garnet and Old, Vince, Thursday night, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well, Ryan. You and I have been chatting a lot this week. We're getting ready for our weekend bash at Fishweir. I know it was already up on the screen. There it is. Doors open at 11:30. Ryan and I will already be there, set up, ready to go. Remind people that if you are going to Fishweir does not serve food. But there are plenty of restaurants around there. So either, bring your own food or plan to get some food from a nearby establishment.
Some of their beers are so heavy, Vince, though, that you really don't need food, right? I mean, you kind of...
Depending on how many beers you have, it's probably enough calories for sure. Yeah.
Also want to mention we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. And if we do so before mid-October, we're going to raffle off 2 Florida State Miami tickets with a parking pass. So like and subscribe on the YouTube, share it with your friends, and we'd love to have you on board the Garnet Old family. But Vince, tonight's kind of an exciting night. We have a special guest. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. So when we talk about no inside info, no contacts, no problem, to a large degree, that's true. But sometimes we do have some contacts. We happen to have a contact of the show, a friend of the show that often comments on the show that is in the realm of game analysis and statistics. And we're going to bring him online right now. His name is Parker Rollin. And like I said, he's been a friend of the program. And Parker, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and talk about, the company you work for and the types of things that you do.
Thanks, Vince. I work for a company called Championship Analytics, or CAI, and we do a lot of work with football teams, college, NFL, some high school, and we basically just help teams make more educated and statistics-based decisions in the games. A lot of times there are decisions that are purely math and decisions based on win probability at certain times of the games, and there are other times that maybe they're more logic based and it's just not something that the sport of football has a complete hold on yet. A good example of that would be being down 15 late in the game and you need 2 touchdowns, and say you score a touchdown. Some teams will say you want to go for an extra point on the first one to keep your team in the game, keep the horrible word momentum going. And you saw that last week, like in a game like Texas A&M and Miami. But the reality is you really need to go for 2 on the first one. And you kind of just need to throw momentum out the window, because you need to know as soon as possible whether you need to score twice at the end of the game, or if you can, take your time and just take the last touchdown at the end. So while it is a small probability of scoring twice and maybe the last 3 minutes, you need to have that option open, and that's just not something teams do. An example of a math-based decision would be down 14 and going for 2, which the only team I think has done that this year that I've seen is Florida. They did that well at the beginning. And the reasoning is because your probability of getting the first 2-point conversion is about 43% on the first one. And so you want to put your team in a position to take the lead by getting it on the first one, because the only downside is missing twice, and your probability of missing twice is 0.57 squared, which puts you at around 0.3. So you want to play, in that situation, you are playing the math, and you want to take the probability of that you're more likely to get it on the first one than you are to not get it 2 consecutive times.
So this is, I mean, this is fantastic. And this is, you know, we've been, Parker, you and I have been talking about this for a while to have you on the show. And I've known Parker for a real long time. But we've been talking about the best time to bring you on the show. And, you know, lo and behold, Mike Norvell delivers a Thanksgiving platter of fourth down decisions in this last game. And so this is the perfect opportunity to bring you on the show. And so that's what we're going to do. And we have this new segment here, and it, you know, could be a recurring segment depending on how many decisions are being made. But this new segment, Ryan, what's it called?
It's called "Is the Math Mathin'?" Is that math mathin', man? Does it actually make sense? Was the decision of a coaching staff to go for it, you know, in a certain situation, you know, whether it be on fourth down or 2-point conversions, things like that, did it actually make sense when it comes to analytics? And that's what this is about.
Yeah, and so, like I said, there were a lot of choices here for us to talk about. And so, Parker, we're going to go through each one of these, and you know, you can talk about, you know, what CAI, what you know, what the research your company does would say about these scenarios. So the first one is 4th and 5 from the 48. And we know what the end result is, right? There was a 9-yard completion to Bill Philly for a first down. But let's look at it too. So we actually have these pulled up so we can visually see what happens in case any of our watchers or listeners did not pay attention in the game. Here it is. Oh, maybe I need to start it from the beginning. Let's go back it up.
And you see Jordan just making people look silly here, just dancing around. It's so much fun to watch him play.
So Philly also nifty move there. So that's the first one. Let's talk about that one. I'll give the floor to you, Parker. What do you say?
All right. So before I go into the fourth downs, it might be worth to talk about what I'm saying first and what I mean. So let's say this is a 4th and 5 at the plus 48. CAI has game books that we give to the teams, and the teams will know how far out from a certain yard line they should go for it. And we'll call that the go range, or they'll have a go out to this many yards. So in this spot, it looks like they were at the 48 and it was a 4th and 5. I could have seen this being a go out to maybe 6 or 7 yards, just because you really don't want to punt in plus territory very often. And I should probably also say that fourth down recommendations are based on several things. They're based on time remaining in the game. They're based on point differential, obviously yard line, timeouts if it's at the end of the half, but maybe the biggest one for this circumstance is your opponent. You won't have big go recommendations against a team maybe like Clemson or LSU in the first game. I'm pretty sure you could have made that inference just based off of how little Florida State went for it in those situations. They just went for it one time in a very short yarded situation, deep in plus territory in that game. And for this one, I probably would have said there is a go out to 6 or 7 yards, and you want to get the team to go for it in this situation because obviously you're out of field goal range, but you have a very good probability of converting when you have a competitive advantage against a team like Southern Miss, and especially when you have a guy like Jordan Travis. So, I mean, you would like to see it maybe on this play be a little cleaner and not have him scramble backwards 30 yards, but it's kind of something you take into account when you're making the call to go for it on this play. It looked like Southern Miss did a good job of containing and just kind of pushed him backwards. And it didn't even look like Tuafili had a route. He kind of just delayed out of the backfield, and the awareness was there to get the completion in the first down, which is nice.
One of the things that I've noticed is that the receivers seem to be all on the same page when scramble mode is in effect. They tend to find an open spot. So, and it's good to know. And we kind of already knew this, right, Ryan, that, you know, you're a little more brave when the opponent you're going forward on fourth down against is not of the caliber that you are, right? So it's a little easier to make that call. But it is interesting to know that the go range would have gone out to 6 or 7 yards as well. So even if it was a little bit more of a longer distance to go, it's interesting that it would still be a go. So cool. Excellent. Let's look at number 2 is 4th and 10. This one to me.
One of my favorites.
Well, yeah. So we'll just go ahead and play this one. Hold on, everybody.
This one's just fun to watch. How long it takes to happen. Nope.
It's like the offensive line just get in the way. Like, okay, put my hands up.
My favorite part about that play, Vince, is him knowing exactly where the first down marker was and the gym just sliding, not trying to take any contact.
Right. So, I mean, I'll just start out with saying this one. If you don't have Jordan Travis, you're not making this play.
Yeah.
You're not making this play. But go ahead, Parker.
Yeah, probably not. This one I could definitely see it being an extended go range just because this was still early in the game. Was this still a 7-0 lead, I think? So
yeah, I think
you're
so.
still within the confines of -7 to +7 at this point in the game. And the go range was probably at around 10 or 11 yards on this one. So it was maybe just inside, I would say. You just don't really want to, you're not optimistic, or maybe you're more hopeful than optimistic of sending Fitzgerald out to attempt a 56, 57-yard field goal in this spot. Another thing to point out on this sequence of plays is the one before. We like to tell teams to sequence plays if they're not in a position to go for it on a 4th and long. So a run on 3rd and 10 in this situation may have been good. A shorter pass would have been good. And they did have the option. Travis could have checked it down to Morlock over the middle, but he had Deuce Span on a go on a guy he would expect him to beat, and the ball is just a little underthrown, which brings up the 4th and 10, and you're kind of just hoping to make a play. You don't want to punt for 19 yards of field position here. Even if you don't get it, the Southern Miss still has to drive like 35, 40 yards to get into field goal range.
Yep.
So you don't mind giving Jordan Travis an option to maybe pick up the first down on this play. Unfortunately, that's what he did.
Yeah.
So Parker, I have a question. How much in analytics on offense does it play into the strength of your defense, based on like if you don't get it and the other team gets the ball, if your defense is awful or your defense is great, does that play into the choices a lot?
It can, maybe not as much as how good your offense is compared to the other team, because you want to weigh your conversion probability first, then your probability of getting a stop on the next possession. But it does play a part of it. Maybe that's something that Norvell can weigh himself when making these decisions. He can have that confidence in his defense if they're more like borderline calls.
So, okay, so I forgot to ask you, so we'll have to backtrack. On the first one, was the math mathin'? We're going to ask the question. Parker, was the math mathin'?
Yes.
What about the second one?
Yes, that one also was a good decision.
Okay, the math is mathin' so far, folks, and this is fantastic. This gives me even greater confidence in what Norvell, the way he calls a game, right? Because Lord knows when Jimbo was around, 4th down was like garlic to a vampire. There was never a 4th down that he didn't avoid.
Parker, so for those of you who don't know, and I certainly don't know the answer to this, college teams in general, when these analytic decisions come up, who is that being radioed down from the booth by someone whose job it is to give them that information, or is it a sheet or something the coach has on them?
That is a good question. Most teams in the company have what they call a book guy. You will often see it on television. I'll send you guys some pictures if I see it this year. But there's normally a guy on the sideline that has our game book in his hand and just keeps track of where they are at on the field. And they'll just tell a coach, go out to this yard, go out to this yard, 2-point in this situation. So it's not, it's normally not, I don't think, a guy in the box, but it's also not the coach. It's normally someone who's given that single task of just following the recommendations and being aware of that in real time.
Nice.
Cool. All right, let's go on to number 3. This one this one's fantastic.
Yeah, least
It's
risky
just,
one probably.
Yeah, probably. So let's pull this one up. And there he goes.
Touchdown. Trey Benson.
Touchdown. That one, what do you think about that one, Parker? 4th and 1 from the 19 to plus 19.
Yeah, this one was definitely the easiest call to make. In this situation, I probably would guess that the probability of converting on 4th and 1 was better than the chance of making the 36, 37-yard field goal. And that's just because of how high the conversion probability would have been against playing this team specifically. Now, in some games throughout the year, you might hear a commentator or announcer say something like, this 4th and 1 is basically a coin flip. And it's really not, because 4th and 1s, especially against these kinds of teams, they aren't closer to 50%. They're closer to like 75 to 80%. So a better expression would be to say that this is like rolling a dice and not rolling the number 6. That's a better expression of what this is like. So it worked out, and obviously goes right up the middle. Even if they do make contact, it looked like he would have taken someone with him for a yard or two anyway.
How often, when you brought up commentators on the broadcast, how often is what they're saying about the decision to go for it or not go for it complete nonsense, or are they pretty spot on sometimes?
The cringing.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
It is. There are some commentators. I can't think of one of the names off the top of my head. I think RG3 was pretty good when he was a commentator, but there are a lot of them out there that are just not very knowledgeable when it comes to recommendations and the right yardages and why those are in place. And it's a lot worse for other things like 2-point conversions late in the game. That's when it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, what we're dealing with there is talking heads that are stuck in old ways of it's 4th down, you punt. And that's just not the way football's played anymore. So definitely 3rd one, math is mathing on that one. I could have called that one.
Yeah. 100%.
So we're good. We're good with that. Let's go to number 4 here.
One.
The incomplete one. The only one that they didn't get.
Should have been complete.
By the way, he rolls the ball back to him.
Should have been caught.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the defensive backs actually played pretty well in that game for Southern Miss. So
we are exactly 0%. It felt like on 50-50 balls.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this one, Parker.
So both of these next two probably would have been very close, teetering on the edge of the go range, or maybe even a field goal lean at this point. And a lot of that has to do with the point differential. I think this was 14-0 at the time. And you would say that any score on this possession makes it a 3-score game. So you like the potential of a field goal on this drive, but this is also 47, 48-yard field goal from the spot. So you wouldn't necessarily say this is a guarantee. And I think Norvell, even looking at from the last 3 times he had gone for it, could confidently send the team out in like a fringe situation like this may have been if they were only like 4 or 3 yards from going for it. So you don't want to fault a team for being aggressive. You support it even if your recommendation is like a field goal lean at this point, because I mean, you don't hate the idea of keeping your offense on the field just to give a 4th down a shot. The worst thing obviously would be a punt from like the first situation.
Right.
You just don't want to see that as much in plus territory. So you don't hate to see a conversion attempt. It just didn't work out this time. Seemed like he got rushed on the play just because of the fumbled snap that dribbled at him, and then maybe the ball was a little underthrown. So they had a potential to convert on this play, just didn't work out. And of course, this is the one time in the first half where Southern Miss hits a couple of plays, also assisted by, I think, a personal foul from Peyton on the next drive. So they get into scoring position, but it wasn't off of this one failed conversion, basically. They had a chance to stop them.
All right, so we're still mathing here?
Yes, that I think was still a good decision.
Okay, beautiful. Hey, man, we are 4 for 4 thus far. Let's go to the last one.
Quick throw. Love it. Is that Jaheim Bell? Yeah.
Hakeem.
Or is that
I think
Hakeem?
that was Hakeem. Yeah,
I can't see the numbers. Kind of blurry.
Hakeem on that one. Yep, Hakeem Williams for 9 yards. What about this one?
Yeah, this one was also, I feel like, would have been close. I feel like we would have had a recommendation out to 4 yards, maybe with a lean on 5 yards to go on 4th down. And again, you're not going to fault the team for being aggressive in the situation, and obviously it paid off. But even if they don't get it, the defense has like 20, 25 yards to give up before they're even threatening to score. And it's late in the half, so you'd like to see the team be aggressive to start putting the game away. That's what we would probably say in this situation. And it was a good play, worked out. Got the quick throw. It was pretty easy completion, probably once he saw the defensive back turn his hips, and Hakeem could kind of just sit there. And that was an easy, quick 9 yards.
Yeah, loving to see Hakeem get a catch there too. It's the beginning of a beautiful career for him. Just looking forward to it. So, I mean, look at this. We got 5 of them, and I think we're 5 for 5 on whether the math is mathin'. So good job, Mike Norvell. And Parker, thanks for the insight on all that. And let's talk about now, let's get rid of that graphic there, and let's talk about CAI. I actually have the website up here, so you can maybe, if people want to go and look to see what's going on at the company you work for and learn more about this, go ahead and talk about that.
Hey, Lane Kiffin even loves it. If you don't trust us,
He does, actually.
Yeah, you can see some of the coaches they've worked with in the past. And they do a lot of work. It's not just at the college level, although that's probably where most of my work goes into. So I do a lot of work on Saturday and Sundays, just watching games on Saturdays mainly. But once Sunday hits, it's a lot of recap and review and work in Excel to make sure all these teams have their game reports and have information based on the book decisions from the game. And yeah, that's their website if people are interested in seeing more about it, seeing who they are, maybe the services they provide. It's all available there.
if someone wanted to get into this, tell us a little bit about the degree you got and, like, I guess how you got into it. I really want to know that.
Yep, that's an interesting story. My undergrad degree was not in anything sports related, but it was very math related. I majored in actuarial science at Florida State. They have a very good program there. I had a very unique 3 choices of where I wanted to go to school, which was Purdue, Florida State, and Georgia State for their actuarial science programs. For people who don't know, just pretend it's like more advanced accounting. You make decisions in insurance world based on calculus, math level decisions, and a lot of complicated formulas. And the way I got into CAI was I got into contact with the president, who I've talked with for the last 5, maybe 6 years now. I got into contact with him early in college and was just exchanging emails early. I wasn't working for them immediately. I just got into contact with the person who created the company and got to share messages with him throughout the season just to share what I thought, and he would give some feedback based on what their recommendations were for that certain week I was giving my views on. And I didn't start working until my senior year of college, where I was graduating at Florida State, and I've worked at them this is my 3rd season, so I worked at them 2 seasons before.
Nice.
I have a question, and I don't think I've ever asked you this. Are you able to enjoy football?
I thought that might be a question, because I remember you kind of asking about that the first time you heard about it.
Yeah.
And yes, you can. You're just watching it a different way. You may not, I mean, because of how many Florida State games I have been to in the past, I'm not necessarily like in the moment. I might not even do the chop all the time, which people give me grief for. I'm kind of just watching for the decisions, and
Yeah.
I can still enjoy great plays and all that, but when I watch a game, it's a lot of what went behind this decision, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you love watching Texas A&M play because they're just like on top of the cutting
You
edge of analytics, huh?
you can go get a snack. I mean, and come back and it's it's still
It's
they
7-3.
still haven't done anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to reply to that.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. And Parker, if you're willing, I think this would be a great thing to continue.
Based on the game.
As games come about, if you're willing to do that, we'd love to have you back on.
Yep, especially if negative outcomes happen and people can come have someone to yell at for the team going for it, like I'm the one who's telling them.
That's right.
Nice.
So so thank you for coming on the show.
Yes,
and
thank
by the way, Parker, if you want to stay, we're going to do some picks here. If you want to stay and hang out and do some picks with us, you're more than welcome to do so. So hang around if you'd like.
Sure.
Awesome. Let's talk the BC game. Do you want to do that, or are you going to go straight to the picks first, Vince?
No, you do whatever you want, Ryan. You're in charge of the.
Let's go
You're in charge of
picks.
the topics.
Let's go
Okay.
picks. So, we started this segment a few weeks ago. So let's go into the pick'em of Thursday night pick'em of the week.
How'd you do at the tables last night?
I'm about even.
Here's an idea. Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
All right. So a little pick'em action. So how do you, Parker, do you like, are you interested in the Vegas and the odds and all that stuff? Does that stuff ring? Do you like that kind of, I guess the sporting man's world of college football?
It's interesting. Obviously, I'm in Georgia, so I can't bet on those kinds of things, even if I wanted to. I could really only do fantasy sports in Georgia, but it is interesting, and I do keep up with it and pay attention to lines and over/under, that sort of thing, just to see how games play out according to what Vegas thinks.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go through. We only do pick'ems for ACC because we're focused right now. Florida State is stuck in this conference, and so for the time being, we're going to go ahead and pick some games. There's one tonight, and that is Bethune-Cookman at Miami. Look at that, 53.5. What do you, Vince? Let's start with you. What do you feel? Do you think Miami wins?
Miami's going to win, but they're not going to cover this spread.
What do you think, Parker?
Yeah, I did not know the spread was that big for the game, so I was prepared to say Miami. They looked good last week, but that's a lot of points for a team that when they blow someone out, in my experience, it seems like it's more of like a 45-3, 52-6 type game, and not a 63-0 clobbering like this would depict.
Yeah, I'm going to go like it's 45-7. That feels about right. Let's go on to Virginia at Maryland. Maryland, a former member of the conference before they booked it out of the ACC. Maryland, a 14.5-point favorite. For me, I'll go first just since I introduced the game. I will pick Maryland to cover this spread and win the game.
It's hard not to pick Virginia to get blown out. So I will agree with you and say Maryland is going to cover this.
I'll also say Maryland covers the spread, wins comfortably. It just seems like Loxley has things going there against lesser competition. Maybe not in the Big Ten big teams, but in this one, I would think he handles comfortably.
Awesome. We have Louisville at Indiana. What an interesting matchup. I actually don't love this spread here. I'm actually gonna pick the upset here. I'm going to Indiana, pulling off the upset against Louisville.
I'm going to push on this. I think Louisville's gonna win by 10.
I think this game is in Lucas Oil Stadium, the first time in a while these two teams have played there. I think I'll take Louisville in this one just because they've looked pretty good. I think they can get it done this week.
There's no spread on this game. VMI NC State. I think we all know we're gonna take the W, right? NC State.
Yeah, there's no. Yes, NC State's going to win this game. Yeah, there would be no spread.
I'll also take NC State.
Very interesting spread here. Minnesota at North Carolina. I'm going to pick North Carolina to cover and win the game and cover this on the spread.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an overreaction to them struggling with App State, but that seems to normally happen for them. I think they are a better team and will probably win this easily.
Awesome. Duke getting some respect. Northwestern and Duke, 18.5-point favorites. I like them. I'm going to take the cover here.
Yeah, there's a possibility that Northwestern doesn't score in this game. And that being said, I'm going to pick Duke to cover this.
Yep, Duke started off well this year, and Northwestern's not in a great spot right now, so I'll take Duke covering this one.
Man, I forget how many teams are in the ACC until we start picking.
It's too many. Hopefully it's one less soon.
Yeah, Virginia Tech at Rutgers. You know what? This is a push. I guess I like Rutgers in this game, but I'm not confident at all in that spread.
I'm going to pick Virginia Tech to upset.
Oh, nice.
I'm also going with Virginia Tech, but probably just a cover on this one. Rutgers is not one of the premier teams in the Big Ten, and although Virginia Tech struggled last week with Purdue, Purdue's probably a better team, and I would expect Virginia Tech to get back on track this week or at least compete better.
I'm surprised about this one because Ole Miss, what we've seen from them so far. Georgia Tech at Ole Miss, they have Ole Miss by 18. I'm going to pick Ole Miss, but I'm going to go the under here.
This is a toughie. Yeah, probably. I'm probably going to agree with you on that. Mississippi State will win, but they will not cover the spread.
I think I'm going to go the other way. I do think they're going to win this game comfortably, and I say they'll cover the spread.
All right, Syracuse at Purdue. There's a game that you really.
Wolf.
Who's worse? I'm going to pick Purdue in this game.
Oh man, does this game have to be played? Did people buy tickets? Do they have to return any? Man, this is a toughie. Yeah, Purdue. I would say Purdue. Purdue will upset here.
I think I'm going to go with Syracuse because it seems like Schrader's been there forever. And when you have a veteran quarterback, it seems like you might have an advantage in a close game like this. So I'll take Syracuse in this one, covering.
Almost done here. Pitt at West Virginia. Again, another ugly game. I'm going to take Pitt here in the upset.
I'm going to take Pitt too. I think last week was tough, man. A lot of teams underestimate Cincy, right? And that happened last week, I believe. I think Pitt's going to win this outright.
Don't know much about either of these teams outside of Jerkovic, I think, is the Pitt starter now, who used to play for Boston College. So I'll say Pitt just to be ACC hopeful, but I don't really know much about either of these two.
Waving the ACC banner. Love it.
ACC.
Well, we can.
This is, in my opinion, a overreaction to Clemson's struggles, this spread. I'm going to go Clemson easily covering the spread. I think this will be a game in which they come out looking and actually put up a number on FAU headed into the Florida State game next week.
Yeah, I think they'll cover the spread here. I also think that it's fool's gold for them.
I think I'll take Clemson on this one. Seemed like they got it going in the second half last week, although that was Charleston Southern, but I think they'll cover this one.
Hey, when we say it was Charleston Southern, Boston College also played Holy Cross, and that was a game. That was a fun one. All right.
Only the fittest get out alive when you're playing Holy Cross.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. That was a great segment. A lot of fun with that. Vince, we're going in now to the BC preview time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll start with three areas, just for Parker's sake. We're going to give our overall gut feeling about, coming into the game overall, general. We're gonna go with your what you feel the number one reason that we win the game is, and the number one reason if we were to lose, what would happen, and then your pick and score. So I'll go first. I have a good feeling coming into this game. I think based on what we've seen in the last couple games, they've tended to start a little slow. I really, really think that this game is the first game out of the three that they come out and have a strong showing in the first half, where they put up a number, uh, maybe even into the 30s, upper 20s, lower 30s by halftime. Um, it's about time. I think they're due for it to all click in a half of football, and I think Boston College is that bad. Boston College might be worse team than Southern Miss, like just overall based on what I've seen. So this could get ugly in a hurry. The keys to the game, why I think we win the game, Vince, is Jordan Travis having a clean start, connecting early and often with the receivers. And the only way we lose this game is the weather and kind of, sloppy football, fumbles and picks and things like that. Who knows what the weather's going to be like with the hurricane approaching. But I do like Florida State in this game big. I pick them 55-10.
All right, Parker, I'm going to let you go next.
I would expect a faster start as well in this game, just because of preparation time maybe they didn't have last week, with it being a Sunday to Saturday game stretch. But this week I would expect them to be able to run the ball better, and I would expect them to lean more on the ground game in a game that might be influenced by the weather and tough conditions. I don't think they would lose this game unless it's very low scoring and a lot of turnovers happen in the second half.
Yep.
What is your score and pick?
Um,
And if you don't have a score, just a general.
What's the spread, Ryan? By 26, 27?
Yeah, do you think they cover?
26, yeah, I think they cover, but I don't think they score as many points as some people will expect. I'll say maybe 38 or 42-6.
That would extend the nation's longest streak of average of 35 points per game, this will be nine games.
This will be the ninth game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You beat me to it. Yeah, so I definitely think that we're going to extend the nation's longest winning streak of 35 points or more. It would have to be Hurricane Lee would have to make a hard left, and there would have to be a complete, meltdown of epic proportions across multiple starters for this to go south. And I don't think any of those, and it would have to be a combination of all that, right? So the chances of that happening are nil. So Florida State's gonna go up there. I think they're gonna start better than they have, but it is a sleepy nooner in Chestnut Hill, and which is not known for the pageantry of college football. So as far as score is concerned, I still think they're going to get in the 50s. I'd say maybe 53-10, 52-10.
2 weeks in a row that me and Vince are very close in the score.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Parker, game one, had it not been for that garbage time touchdown by LSU at the last second, I would have gotten the exact score correct on that one. And then last week, I went 55-14. Vince went 52-14, and so pretty spot on there. We were on a kind of a roll here, Vince.
Ryan, what do you get when you guess the exact score?
What do you get?
You get a whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of nothing.
So we would have had we would have felt good about ourselves internally. Right? We got a comment here. Jeffrey Day says, keep Parker as an analyst. Here you go. And explaining if the maths are mathing. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I love it.
We got that in.
What else we got, Ryan? Parker, I want to let you know the guest that we talked about before the show, I sent a text to when I realized that she was your teacher, and she says hello, and that she definitely knows who you are and remembers you. So Melina Myers says hello, friend of the show.
Yeah, I didn't know if she would, because I did not do too well in her class.
Perfect. Maybe you remember those more. Maybe you remember those more.
Which, by the way, for all of you watching out there, Melina has already agreed to come on a show sometime this season and give us a photo shoot. We just have to work out what works for her on her schedule with her shots. And I know this week is probably extra hard for her with the Bills getting just destroyed, in that overtime game against the Jets.
Yeah, it's
So
grieving
she's
time.
probably pretty upset right now. But we hope to have her on soon. She's a great person.
Absolutely. I think we've hit it all, Ryan.
Anything you want to mention on the Chiefs traveling to Clemson and any response?
No, that was last night. I've said my piece on it. There may be more piece to say later. I would just say send Chiefs all the damn time.
For sure. So hashtag on that, and hopefully we get the Chiefs traveling more often. It's a shame they won't be there at Clemson. Real quick, Vince, I know I told you the disappointing news. I had an unexpected power surge and my fridge went kaput the other day. And so what that means for yours truly, Vince, buying a near $2,000 fridge means that I'm going to be selling my Clemson tickets and not now going to the Clemson game to subsidize the cost of said refrigerator. So that's the joy of being homeowners. It costs you an possible away game, but I still haven't gotten my tickets yet. I know that they're supposed to email them out via Ticketmaster soon, but I'll make some money on it.
That is unfortunate because I was going to send you with a trumpet, but that's beside the point. This is a good show.
Yeah,
Parker, thank you so much for your time, and we are going to have you back on. We'll see what the future holds in terms of fourth down decisions and the like.
Yeah, ask Julie if she'll lend me her mellophone for the game. I can take that.
There you go. That's exactly right.
And Vince, I just want to remind everyone real quick, Fishweir Brewing Company this Saturday, doors open at 11:30. We'll be doing our live show pregame from Fishweir at 11:30 here in Jacksonville, Florida. We'll be doing a halftime show and a postgame show. So come hang out with us at Fishweir. And then throughout the week, before the Garnet and Old show, catch Off the Cuff with yours truly. I do a solo show by myself where I just kind of give what I'm feeling in the moment after a win or a loss, and then also catch the V Drive, Vince's solo show where he does pretty much the same, kind of gives his feelings and takes on FSU and all things Florida State. We're trying to give people more content, Vince. That's been our ask from people that we know and people that listen to the show is they want more Garnet and Old than just once a week. So now we have Vince Garnet and Old. We have post game shows, and we have 2 solo shows. So hopefully, Vince, I don't know if we can do much more. We do have full-time jobs. So
we do have jobs already, but we do enjoy it. I mean, and that's why this whole thing started. So really thank everybody that has climbed on the bandwagon here for the Garnet and Old climb. And make sure to tell all your friends, like and subscribe, especially on the YouTube channel. We want to raffle off these Miami tickets. We want to hit the number. We want to hit the 2,000 number on the subscribers. So please do that. Tell all your friends about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Parker, for being part of this show. Hope to have you back in the future. Vince, as always, it's been really great having you here and talking with you. It's nice to see you when we don't see each other as much as we used to. But everyone, thank you. Garnet and Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Go Noles.
Go Noles. Send the Chiefs all the damn time. See you later.